What's going on, everyone? It's Talks Kenny here today, and we are live. This is episode 55, and today we're going to be talking about the core vision of American First. Now, as you saw from the news, Trump went to the Bronx, right? People are out here showing up. What, I think 25,000 people just estimated about show up in the Bronx, South Bronx. Trump showed up in the hood. It's the hood, ain't it? And I want to kind of talk about some of the trends that we're seeing today. So I want to start off with the first story that more than half of Americans think that the US is in a recession. Axios claims it's not. Now, I want to talk about things that are universal, regardless of your identity, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your sexuality, or whatever you want to identify yourself as. America First is about putting the priorities of the American citizens above the rest of the world. It's a concept based in patriotism. And I think for too long, we've been taught to kind of hate ourselves in a way. All right. And the mainstream media, they're coming out here telling you that, oh, we're not in a recession. But let me know why. Like, if we compare it in 2008, if I told you in 2008, cost of living standards are higher, wage growth isn't keeping up with inflation, right? College graduates are having a hard time finding jobs in the economy. Unemployment is not, unemployment is not high. That's the only difference between now and 2008. But essentially, look at 2024. 2024, higher inflation rate. Our interest rate is like at almost 7%. It fell a little bit today, but we have high interest rates. People are praying that the interest rates go down, which can never happen because the minute they do that, we get hot inflation the next month. We got stagflation going on. We got corporations having price wars with each other. McDonald's versus Wendy's, Target versus Walmart, fighting for pricing. Fast food prices is up 33% since 2019. But the mainstream media tells you we're not in a recession. The majority of the reason why Americans believe we're in a recession is the cost of living. Look what's going on. This affects everybody, white, black, Asian, doesn't matter your skin color. An American First concept, the American First movement is not based on identity politics. It's based on citizenship. It's based on loyalty to your country. It's based on your community, your nation, and making it a better place than how you found it. But if you believe Axios, more than half of Americans, which is 56%, mistakenly, what mistake is America making? See, this is the problem. This is why a lot of people do not trust the mainstream media. This is why majority of Americans believe that the mainstream media is a threat to democracy. You have this Axios reporter, Axios institution, which is about what? 500, maybe 1,000 people max, trying to tell you that you're mistaken for believing that the US is currently in a recession, when these same people sat here and blasted a narrative where they changed the definition of a recession. Remember that? 2022, I think. Mainstream media, we hit 2 back-to-back negative GDP growth. Back-to-back months. You remember 2022? I have a long memory. I remember. They had the liberal economists coming out trying to tell you that, oh no, this is a different situation. It's not a recession. AKA changing the definition of a recession, but claiming that they didn't change the definition of recession. We'll get more into that again, but they're saying you mistakenly believe that the U.S. is on. See, look, bro, like people be thinking I'm lying. Nearly 60% of people see mainstream media as a threat to democracy. Yeah, because this hurts your guy. Let's play the scenario. If Trump had won 2020, and in 2022 he had 2 negative GDP growth, would the mainstream media be pushing out that it was a recession or not? I'm waiting. We all know the answer. When it's Trump, it's different for some reason, right? For decades, president after president, we had a common understanding what a recession was, right? I'm jumping around, guys. Sorry, but I'm going to bring it all together. I'm going to bring it in eventually at the end. It depends what the definition of recession is. Oh, let's read the story. The latest New York Post column says, I take on the Biden's team trying to redefine recession, where they had their fact checkers come out saying, oh my God, no, this is not the correct definition of recession. Technically, there's no definition of recession. You try to Google search, what is a recession? You see they're changing definitions. Wikipedia changing definitions. The traditional rule of thumb when an economy is in a recession is a decline in gross domestic product for 2 consecutive quarters. This is how all of us knew this was the common understanding of a recession was. It's the same thing with what is a woman? What is a recession? What is a woman? Same thing, same game they playing here. A woman is an adult human female. Now they changed the definitions. Oh, women never meant that. There was different distinctions, different definition of woman. Now it's anyone who identify as such. That's what a woman is. Leftist logic. They did the same game with recession. Like I said, the left or the Democratic Party in this case, because I want to be very specific, because my point is going to be about the core vision of American First. The core vision of American First is it's rooted in nationality, right? It doesn't matter if you're a black American, your ass is American. There ain't no conflicting, there's no contradiction. Your ass is an American. The American First vision is based on one nation under God. Indivisible. Let me repeat that again. Indivisible. That's what makes me a conservative right there. That's what we're trying to protect. One nation under God, indivisible. Like you're not supposed to be able to divide Americans. But somehow, leftists, socialists, Marxists, these ideas, they make you think otherwise. This is where they're trying to divide you. Because the elites, the people who are running our country, right? I forgot, someone said something, I forgot how you say it, accurate. That if you think studying politics is foolish, then you will be run by the foolish people who think of politics. I forgot the quote. So pretty much the quote is, if you're not interested in politics, you don't care about politics, you don't want to take the time to understand your government or what's going on, you'll be run by people who don't either. And Kamala Harris is the perfect example of that quote. Right? A shrinking economy for half a year under previous presidents. That was not a controversial definition. In 2008, Joe Biden's National Economic Council Director Brian Deese wrote, "Economists, read this quote. Economists have a technical definition of recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. That's been the distinction of what a recession is since 2008. We had that happen to us in 2022 in Joe Biden's administration. What did the mainstream people did? But here, then on Wednesday, because this article was made in 2022, 2 negative quarters of GDP growth is not the technical definition of a recession, pretty much contradicting himself in 2008. Right? Let's go back to the article again, because remember, I told you I was going to bring it all back together. Thank you for bearing with me. Give me a like on the video, because I think a lot more Americans need to understand this, because for too long, we let the mainstream media control the narrative. For too long, we have allowed the mainstream media to kind of frame things for us. And it's about time we take that power away from them. Gone are the days we're supposed to trust these mainstream institutions, because they say, look, you're mistakenly believing what's going on here in America. But look at this article here where the same guy, the same expert in a different context in 2008, he said economists have a technical definition for a recession, which is 2 consecutive quarters of negative growth. But then in 2022, when it's happening to his guy, Joe Biden, he said there's not only one definition of a recession, AKA we can make the definition whatever the hell we want to make the definition. Oh. Sorry, my kids were going crazy. I had the baby monitor with me. But continuing, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen Sunday, we are not in a recession right now. Even if the GDP declined for a second straight quarter, that's not the technical definition. So pretty much what these experts are telling you is, believe us. Do not trust your lying eyes. Your eyes are lying to you. Trust us. These are the same kind of people. Mainstream media, remember, they had articles out there. You could Google it yourself if you think I'm lying. There's articles out there saying that if you do your own research, it'll lead you into disinformation, misinformation. Make it make sense. They want you to trust the experts. The experts are using their positions of authority to push a worldview. That's what journalists are doing. This is why the mainstream media is a threat to democracy. I'm just making the case. So when Trump came out and he said fake news, people resonated with that. The core vision of American First. American First is, hey, hold your institutions accountable to the sovereignty and the interests of your nation. How is the mainstream media not state media? Axios is supposed to be a centrist publication, but look at them spewing, I believe, left-wing propaganda. The U.S. is currently in a recession and Biden is responsible for a worsening economy, according to the stunning new poll conducted by Harris for the Guardian. Why it matters? The economy is actually in good shape and there's no recession. Wrong. But misconceptions like this are a huge political challenge for President Biden and an advantage for former President Donald Trump as he vies for a second term. Reality check. It can be difficult to know if a recession is actually happening. It is called typically made after the fact by the National Bureau of Economic Research, called the 2008 recession months after most people believe we were in one. And we're not going through the same situation today in 2024. These people, they contradict themselves. But we're done with Axios because I want to move on to another point I want to make. Why these people don't seem to understand what the common American is feeling, right? Because they're trying to gaslight us again, telling us, oh, you're all good. This is the strongest in America. This is the best economy you ever had. Democrats being the party of the rich could cost them 2024 election. This was made a year ago. I'll read that again. The party that claims to be the party for the working class, the party of the poor, the party of the down and out, the party of the working class. The Democratic Party is the party of the rich. Also, the educated. I put that in air quotes because we all know a college education at this point is a scam. At this point, it's more of an indoctrination, a mental conditioning factory. Hey, we want to condition you in liberal ideas, and your path of permission is a college degree. This is why all these corporations are woke. I'm going to go to the bottom because I'm not going to read all this. I want to focus on the most important part. The demographics data compiled in 2016 and 2020 elections showed that the top 40% of income earners prefer the Democratic candidate for president, Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, over the Republican Donald Trump. But Donald Trump's tax cuts benefit the rich. Well, if that's the case, liberal, wouldn't the top income earners of our country vote for Donald Trump? Kenny, that's just how divisive he is. More on that in a little bit. Signifying a sizable correlation shift from where the party was in previous decades. And also, Democratic Party is also the party of the whites as well. More white people vote for the Democratic Party. More rich people vote for the Democratic Party. And there's a correlation with college degrees and wealth. So the educated vote is also with the Democratic Party. You're seeing how the Democratic Party are the elite class. They are the establishment class, right? There's stats, I bring this up a lot in my channel. There's stats where data suggests that the higher your income is, the more likely you are to say that inflation is not an issue in your life, right? That's craziness. The higher your income is, I'm saying that again, the higher your income is, the less likely you are to say that inflation is a problem in your life. So Democrats being the party of the rich, right? The elite, they're less likely to say that inflation is a problem. Look at Bill Maher. Bill Maher. He was debating people on, oh, inflation is exaggeration. And people were like, yo, Bill Maher, have you went to buy eggs lately? Have you went to get milk lately, Bill Maher? Bill Maher's so rich it don't affect them. Inflation also helped people who hold assets. Now, let me ask you something. Most people's assets, for most Americans, it will be a house. How hard is it to get a house now in this day and age right now because of what's going on with Biden's economy? All right. But this is the information that they want to funnel to you. I got someone on the chat saying that Wall Street is for the little man. That's why they donate Democrat. Oh, exactly. That is exactly what it is. Gaslighting, right? But this is the problem with the Democrat Party. They love something once they take over it. If something's against them, they hate it, right? This is why they're doing this thing with Donald Trump. Oh, we're going to prosecute you. Oh, business owners, as long as you don't do what Donald Trump does, you'll be fine. AKA, don't challenge us. AKA, don't challenge the party. Don't challenge the Democratic Party, or we'll prosecute you for a victimless crime. The victimless crime of negotiating with a bank to evaluate your property at a certain price so you can pull a loan for it, and you repaid your loan in full plus interest, and New York government will come after you and penalize you and make you almost pay a $500 million bond for you to appeal their decision. Make that make sense. And when businesses get scared, oh, we gotta leave New York goes, no, you don't have to worry. Trump is a bad guy. All you gotta do is make sure you're not like Trump. Wink, wink. AKA, hey, you don't challenge us. Hey, you're not a threat to our political control. We won't prosecute you. Isn't that fascism? But they're quick to call the Republican Party a fascist. Now, I'm gonna give my voice a little break here, and I want to show you a video clip of mainstream media. You know, the people who are a threat to democracy. Most Americans agree with me. 60% agree with me that mainstream media is a threat to democracy. Only Democrat voters believe or trust the mainstream media. Independents don't trust mainstream media, and Republicans definitely don't trust mainstream media. But they keep talking as if they have credibility, and I want to hear some of their commentary, because I hope most of their commentary is focused on the economy, the policy, the outlooks, the sentiments of the people who went out and showcased themselves for the Bronx, showed out in droves for the Bronx and why it's happening. I hope they give us some insight on that, right? We'll see. Let's take a look.
This event, chief strategist for the Bush-Cheney 2004 presidential campaign, Matthew Dowd, and former Obama campaign advisor, Amisha Cross. So Dasha, you were there last night. You heard it. You talked to the people who were in that crowd. How was his message received?
Well, this might sound a little counterintuitive, but I did talk to folks in that crowd who themselves were immigrants. A lot of folks from the Dominican Republic. A lot of people that I talked to were born and raised in the Bronx. For some of them, this was their first ever Trump event. And when you talk to immigrants that are going to these Trump rallies, they agree with his message on immigration. Their point is, look, I did it the right way. I came here legally, and especially those living in New York right now, the sentiment I heard from a lot of voters was, you know, we have these immigrants right now that the city is taking care of in a way that I've never felt taking.
So here's another parlay into the American First, right? You follow our laws, you come in, you contribute to the society, you're Gucci. I don't understand how Democrats don't see that it's kind of insulting when you try to group illegal immigrants and legal immigrants together. Right? It's like saying, "Hey, we're all good here, and we're all good people here, and you're next to criminals." And you're like, "No, there's a distinction here." And the fact that Democrats try to play this game where they try to lump immigrants all together, try to use words. This is why I said the Democrats, they focus on word games. They don't focus on the reality of what's going on. They focus on word games because they don't care about the truth. The truth is not convenient for their ends. They care about the narrative. And they want to cast this narrative that, oh my God, the Republican Party is xenophobic. When Donald Trump said we're going to lead the largest deportation effort in history, they wanted to have a negative connotation. But the data don't support that. Hey, how does it benefit a citizenry to have import a bunch of people from poor corporations, poor countries, limited job skills? They have to be reliant on the system. The system has to provide for them, right? Give them housing, right? Staying in hotels. That's more resources being drained out of the American tax pool for people who are not even contributing into it. How can you sell that as fair? How can you sell it fair as like someone break into your house, they drink your milk, use your toilet paper, burn your electricity, and they're not contributing anything to your house? You'll say, hey, hey, if you want to kick that person out, you kick that person out. But for some reason, when we put it into a country level, you don't want to do that. Make it make sense. But hey, I digress. Let's get back into the video. because I don't want to talk too long.
Care of by this city. It was a large crowd and a diverse crowd. Yes, there were some people from Westchester, from New Jersey, but there were a lot of people there that were from the Bronx, Black and Latino voters that are sick of how much they're paying for gas and groceries, that are frustrated with the situation at the border, and that find President Biden's rhetoric when it comes to minority voters a little bit offensive. Take a listen.
Legal troubles. Does any of that worry you at all?
No, at all. I think he's going to be elected the president because everyone still wants him as the president. So
Is that damn right?
to me, it doesn't matter.
Biden, they have disrespected the people of the city of New York. This was the best city in the world. We're not the great apple anymore. We're not the big apple. We are the rotten apple.
Biden went on the Charlemagne the God show and said, "You ain't black if you don't vote for him." I'm black because that's how I was born and what.
How racist is that? To say that you are not your skin color, right? You've been black all your life, but because you make a choice on a different political approach to solving problems, someone challenges your identity. No, you're an American. Right? Like, there's nothing more superficial to me than leading with your race. People are on black first. Well, if you're black first, then your black people is killing you more than other groups of people, 5 times more. You rob each other. You victimize each other at a higher rate. How you 30% of the population, but you make up 36% of victims of violent crime? How you 13% of the population, but you're committing 52% of violent crime? But you're black first. But then when people make critiques or point out the negatives of your community, you take it as racism. You don't like criticism, right? Like, make it make sense. And you're only hurting America. So a white American can't call out the actions of a black American? To me, you're the same people. You're the same ethnicity. There's white Africans. I remember online people were getting mad that a white woman won Miss Africa, when she's nationally, she's an African, born and raised in Africa. That white African is more African than any African American that's born here in the U.S. But people sitting here acting like, oh, she's not supposed to win Miss Africa. She's a white woman. But God forbid a white American say that here in the United States and everyone call him a racist. And this is the problem that I'm having. I'm noticing. Too much double standards, too much inconsistencies. In one head, using race to disqualify somebody or to assume something about someone, stereotyping someone, oh, that's racist. But the minute that stereotype is spun in a positive light, oh, no, we like that. Picking and choosing. The world of words. This is what the Democrats live in. They don't live in the world of reality. The reality is they're just as racist as they claim. They project the racism that they complain about a lot. The black community. Miss Africa was a white woman. So if the winner of Miss America happened to be a black American and white people got mad, oh, they're supposed to be representative of the country. Literally, arguments that black people were making about why Miss Africa is a white woman. Make it make sense. This is what happens when you focus on some superficial BS like race first. Like ethno supremacy, race supremacy. That's not what American First is about. This characterization by the mainstream media making it about white nationalism is a lie. It's about nationalism, regardless of your skin color. The vision that Vivek articulated when he argued against Ann Coulter. It's about your loyalty to the country. It's not about your skin color. This is the problem that we have in our politics. This is why they love identity politics. They're trying to divide people because that's the only way the Democrats can win. If you think about things from an American First perspective, there's no way in hell you vote a Democrat. Hey, what's the incentive of allowing all these immigrants to come in? It only benefits you, Democratic Party. But as an American citizen, it hurts us. Nah, F that. We're going to punish you, Democratic Party. We're voting for the Republicans because your policy direction ain't making sense. That's how the American First citizen moves. And then the minute the Republicans start effing up, oh, you spending too much money on foreign affairs. Hey, Democrats have the good on this. We're moving over there. That's the kind of country I want to live in, where the citizens vote on the interests of their own community, aka the United States of America. But for some reason, we fall into this pattern in our culture, in our politics, where we putting party before the country. It used to be back in the day, that both sides can have a respectful debate and not use name calling. They argue the policies. Hey, America, this is why you should go for my position, my approach. This is why my approach is more feasible and more effective at fixing the solutions and problem that we see. Democrats' turn. That used to be the common foundation. The common foundation was, how can your solutions make America a better place for all its citizens? And why your policy is more feasible or much effective than the other person's policies. Now, you try to gaslight Americans. You try to castigate the candidates as being some type of racist or Nazi. This Third Reich stuff. Dumb. No one cares. And you're going to see in this clip too. I'm going to let the video play out after my rant. You're going to see in this clip that no one cares. No one cares about this ish. No one cares about what Donald Trump said 2010, 5 years ago. Yo, everyone knows this is the contrast that the Democrats have to face. Everyone knows their life was better under a Trump administration than a Biden administration. And all your deflecting from that fact is not helping you because no one cares. No one cares about Trump's rhetoric. Number one issue, the economy. Second to that, the border. Third to that, the crime. All three Democrats have a disadvantage at. That's what people are worried about. Instead of Democrats trying to offer an alternative solution to those problems, Donald Trump's a racist. Donald Trump is a Nazi. And they ask, how is Donald Trump a Nazi? You're just ignoring reality. But when this black man about to get on Joe Biden, he said, I'm not black because I don't want to vote for him. How insulting. Oh, but Trump, 5 years ago. It's crazy. And then they want to feel shocked, stunned that Americans think that mainstream media is a threat to democracy. That 56% of Americans feel like they're in a recession when our line, everything about it. Our money is stagnant. We didn't get raises today, We didn't get raises this year, some of us, most of us, right? Because the economy was doing bad. Mass firings, mass layoffs going around. Not a recession. It's not a recession. The house is on fire. The house is not on fire. What's the reality? We're just lighting up the house. We're doing some spring cleaning. We had to burn some, dying debris. But your house is on fire. No. I don't care how you frame it. I don't care how you interpret it. The reality is Americans are hurting under Biden's economy, Bidenomics. And only rich people are benefiting of it because rich people own what? Assets. And assets grow with inflation. The common American do not own assets like that. For the common American, what affects them most is cost of living. That is what hurts the common people. And cost of living is higher. So whatever misdirection that Biden's trying to push, look at the jobs report, look at this. People who already have a job are like, but the standard of living that I had compared to last year is harder to maintain compared to previous years. Biden, in 2021, you had the highest inflation in 40 years. And inflation is cumulative. That means it builds on top of each other. Yeah, sure, interest rates at 3% before. It's not as fast as it was growing last time. Prices used to increase by 16% in some months. Remember that in 2022? Biden was feeling that pressure. Now in 2024, it's rising by 3%. But that's on top of the 16% that we dealt with 2022. You see the games that they play? But, I digress. I want to run through this video.
What I am, and Trump is the man that can save this country, period.
So interesting to talk to those voters, Anna, and multiple people actually mentioned that Charlemagne the God interview. I did press back with some of those folks, mentioning some of Trump's rhetoric that's been seen as racist and bigoted. They said they don't have a problem with that. They view his actions over his words in terms of what they feel he can do
Smart
for the
people.
community.
Look at their deeds, not their words. Trump said mean things, but look at his actions. His actions are better for you. Look at Biden's actions hurting you. But you want us to focus on their words when words are meaningless in this election.
Again, the economy, those pocketbook issues over and over again, top of the list.
It's important to hear from those voters. I'm glad you were there to get those reactions. Amisha, Trump has.
Yeah, it's craziness, man. That's what they focus on. That's what they focus on. Like this election's about contrast, right? What is the contrast? What is the contrast that both candidates are trying to display to you? Right? And what is your priority? Like what affects you or what the mainstream media says that hurts you, right? They're trying to get you to believe so heavily that, oh my God, Trump is the worst thing since sliced bread. Trump is this, Trump is that. But people are not caring anymore, right? Here's a New York Democrat. I'm going to show you a clip. Here's a New York Democrat heading to the Bronx rally, right? And listen to what she has to say, because this is interesting insight, because this is the kind of thing that they're talking about. Oh, I try to push back and say, look at Trump's comments. This is what they're usually going to reply with.
You were telling me that you're not actually a Trump supporter, but you're here.
Not at all.
Why are you here today?
I'm here because when Trump was president, he was much better. I mean, the world wasn't on fire. The prices went up like crazy. The price of gas, everything. So from
Is that a mistake, Axios?
He's the best, I shouldn't say of the worst, but there's no choice. I am a Democrat. I'm registered Democrat, but I would also occasionally vote for Republican. You know, I go according to, you know, who is better.
Like Joe Biden as a Democrat, what are your thoughts?
Well, I think he's destroying the country with his policies. You know, it's just things are getting worse and worse. The more we're having more. We can end up with World War III with Biden. I think that Trump is going to make America great again. I mean, even I'm saying that, you know, even though his personality, like, forget it. He says things that angers me, but his policies were much better, much better. I mean, you can't even compare. So, like someone said on the radio, you got to close your nose and dive in. Like, just vote for him, even if you don't like him, even if you hate him. He's just going to be better for America.
Yeah, just be better for America, not your pride, not your ego, not your party. Look what's better for your country. And this is the superficial crap that the mainstream media tries to get you to focus on. What's better for America? Look at it objectively. Take your own personal interest out of it. Does it benefit a country to have loads of immigrants coming, illegal immigrants, breaking your laws to make a place in your country? People got mad when illegal immigrants was going out there squatting in people's abandoned houses that they're trying to sell. People got outraged, but they literally did that before. They came in, they illegally enter your country. They're squatting in America, and they go and squat in your house. They're like, "Yo, what you doing? You're putting me in jail because I squatted in someone's house, but you let me come in your country illegally? Come on, make it make sense." High benefits of people to pay 100% of the taxes to benefit people who contribute nothing to the tax system. That's illegal immigration. Right? And this is the funny part with the replacement theory, and this is another thing that the mainstream media try to slander the American First Movement with. Well, white nationalist talking points. Illegal immigration hurts black people the most because they're competing for low-skilled work. Black people, sorry, not the most educated people in America. So these influxes of illegal immigrants, they hurt their economic outlook, their employment opportunities. They move into their neighborhoods, their spaces. You see it in Chicago, you see it in Philadelphia. There was polls out there that showed the more diverse a swing state is, the more likely it is it's trending towards Trump. But keep pretending, Democrats. Keep resting on your laurels, Democrats. I keep talking about this is about contrast. One's selling you doom and gloom. Right? Let's hear it. Because I want to make this point before I move on.
You missed your high school graduation. You started college just as George Floyd was murdered. And there was a reckoning on race. It's natural to wonder.
They need that reckoning on race. That's why they focus so much on racial politics. They need it. This is not divisive. George Floyd, a criminal, resisting arrest, high on fentanyl. Now, yes, Derek Chauvin, he shouldn't have done what he did, agitated the man, make him stressed out, and that caused his heart to go. But he played his part into his own death as well. But instead of acknowledging that, instead of seeing it nuanced, the mainstream media, what they do, they use it as cannon fodder to sow division, because that's the only way Democrats can win. Democrats only can win when you see yourself as a black American, white American, so then they can pin you against each other. Oh, that party is only for white people. You should vote for me. And then they go to the white liberal. Oh, you want to do what's best for the black people? You got to vote for me. That's how the Democrats roll. But then how you win with
It doesn't.
how can a Democrat win if America believes in this vision? And this one I'm gonna play the completely, because this is the vision. This is the, like, if you want to know what American First is, if you want to, if you want to take anything out of this live stream, this is the most important clip. 27 seconds. I'm not even going to interrupt. This is what I believe. This is why I'm an American. This is why I don't lead with my race. My race is not the identity. It's one of my identities. And it's the least significant one. I'll stand on that. You got black people out here who say, "Oh, I'm a black nationalist." No. I'm not with that crap. I'm an American. I'm an American black. That's how I think of it. My nationality first, my race second. Because end of the day, America is the best place to be black. If America is gone today, black people, black Americans right now will be poorer than they ever been. Because this is the best place to be black. The richest people in America, the top 1% of black people globally, all live in America. So even if you're the poorest black American, you're better off than some kid in Africa. But you want to cry and complain about this country. You want to say, "Oh my God, it's holding me back. White man on my neck." Create all these boogeymen in your imagination. And they try to slander the country and blame it for your own shortcomings. That's what racism has become. Racism has become a scapegoat to excuse the inadequacies of the black community, the inadequacies of the previous generation. Because I think that's what it is. But this is the core of American First's vision. And I think that Trump needs to stick with this message, because this is more unifying to me. This is what Biden talking about. Nuh-uh. He's trying to divide people. He's trying to divide people on race. He's trying to divide people. He's trying to make them divisible. When Trump is sticking to our founding fathers' vision, the Constitution, the American ideal. This is American excellence. Make America great again. When people say, "Oh, what do you mean by make America great again?" Where we judge people on the content of their character and not the color of their skin. That was what the Constitution said. One nation under God. That's what we're trying to make America great again. We're one nation. We're one people. It don't matter if you got darker melanin than I do or lighter melanin than I do. Your eyes are squint like this. You believe in the vision of this country. You believe that you have the ability to determine your own fate. That's what is American excellence. That's what makes America great. That you determine your path. Not someone else. You determine your path. America just offered the environment for you to succeed, but also to fail and on your own. That's the vision. That's what makes America great. That's what we're trying to make. That's what we're trying to conserve. So here you go. We're going to let President Biden, not President Biden, President Trump take it away.
It doesn't matter whether you're black or brown or white or whatever the hell color you are. It doesn't matter. We are all Americans, and we're going to pull together as Americans.
Does that sound like a message for white nationalism? I'll ask again. Is that a message for white nationalism? Right? Unity versus division. That's the next Trump ad, right? Biden, always blaming Trump. 2020, Biden, I will reverse Trump's border policy, right? Because their main thing was, the reason why people are fighting for resources is because the red states are pushing the migrants into blue cities. One, blue cities claim themselves to be sanctuary cities where they want to accept migrants with open arms, virtue signaling, knowing damn well they're nowhere near the border. And the rest, they said, "Okay, we don't want them here. You're helping us out. You're a sanctuary city. You want these people? Here you go." Then you complain about it. You complain about the very problem that you helped create, Democrats. And then y'all had the gall to blame Trump. 2022, Biden, we have successfully reversed all of the border policies. 2024, Biden, the border problem is Trump's fault. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Bro, when we're going to get tired? Like, they only can do this if you're not educated, bro. And then the final thing that really honed in my point, I made the point that Democrats are more trusting of the mainstream media than other groups of people. Bill Maher perfectly exemplified this. He perfectly exemplified this point for me. Here's a clip, 35 seconds. Let's get into it.
And then spent the next 4 years saying he was illegitimate. He was an illegitimate president.
Okay, well, first of all, she didn't say he was an illegitimate.
Yes, she did.
You tell me exactly what she said.
She said those exact words repeatedly.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
Okay, I mean, she conceded the election. Whether you're interpreting her disappointment at losing it as the same thing as Trump not conceding it, I don't know if that's where you're getting it from. But again, it's a tremendous false equivalency.
And then
it's not a false equivalency because Trump was actually in office. If he didn't concede the election, Biden would have had to really literally drag him out of the White House, right? With Secret Service, right? But he conceded anyway. He left, right? He griped about it the same way that Hillary Clinton griped about her losing to Trump. Trump griped about losing to Biden. I can't believe this guy won. Didn't attend his inauguration, none of that. Same way Hillary did. But y'all have different standards for them because that's what the mainstream media taught you or showed you, Bill Maher. Now let's go back to the final point where we're talking about immigration here, right? Because we have a Senate Democrat making the argument that if you want a safe town or neighborhood, you're better off with migrants. Murphy raised his family in Southernston, 89% white, and Chickshan, I don't know how to say it, sorry, but 88% white. So the argument here is, hey, this guy don't know what he's talking about. He's in a bubble because he's in a majority white community, which is the case for most white Democrats and actually Democrats in general. They're quick to say, oh, crime is not due to minorities, but they live in all white neighborhoods, majority white neighborhoods. Martha's Vineyard, right? Remember when Ron DeSantis sent some migrants their way? Within the same day, they were already out of there. These people can only be liberals from afar. But when it's time for them to put up or shut up, time to live the results of their bad policies, they don't want to. They insulated from all this stuff. And that's the game. Government suffers no negative consequences for being wrong. Democrats do it to themselves. Democrats will sit around and tell you there's nothing wrong with a single parent household, but then turn around, they're married. They raise their kids somewhat conservative. They keep their kids away from public schools. Their kids go to private schools. But then they tell you, the common person, oh no, you go to public school. Oh no, single parenthood, you can live with the single mothers. When, if I bet you go to their communities, you don't see a single mom in their communities. You see families in their community, mostly white. White liberals insulate themselves in their little DC areas, in Washington. Demographics there never change. But they're quick to say, oh, diversity. That white guilt is something else, boy. That white guilt is something else. Let's hear his take on immigration and see if I can give a different perspective on what he's trying to claim here.
So if you want a safe town or a safe neighborhood, you're better off. You are statistically safer.
I don't know where he gets the stats from.
If you have immigrants, because they commit crimes of violence at a rate lower than people who are born in the United States.
And you know the argument for seeing color? You don't want to see color with these statistics because many white Americans, right? Many people, many astute Americans make the observation that, hey, 52% of violent crime are committed by black people. They only represent 13% of the native, 13% of Americans in this country. So 30% of the Americans in this country are committing 52% of the violent crime. And you're trying to make the argument that you're more likely to get criminalized by an American, but then an illegal immigrant when 13% of Americans commit 52% of the crimes. This is where Murphy gets called a hypocrite. You live in a neighborhood 89% white and another neighborhood 88% white, which is the Americans that commit one of the least amount of crimes. It's Asians, number one. They commit the least amount of crime out of all demographics. After them is Asians, then it's Hispanics, and then, black people at the bottom. So you surround yourself with the demographic of Americans that commit one of the least amount of crimes. If you went in at 89% Asians, it would have been the same case. Hispanics a little bit more. Then you got the blacks who are almost half responsible for almost half of the crime in the country. They're the ones who are really committing our crime rates up there. Sweden's, Finland, one of the safest countries in the world, 99%, almost 90%, one ethnicity. So your argument for immigration is falling apart. Even if I don't have the data to suggest, my lying eyes tells me, hey, something's fishy here. I need more answers. I have more questions for you, Mr. Congressman, because my eyes tell me something else. All the safest countries in the world are ethnically one group. Japan, Finland, Sweden. Like, if you just look at majority, one race, one group. Hurts your immigration argument. Look at the recent story, Lincoln Riley. Look at the stories that come out. The whole point is when illegals commit crime, they don't seem to be held accountable, or it's hard to hold them accountable because there's no track record or no paper trail or no registration of them. Venezuela's crime rate is going down because we're importing a lot of their migrants into our country illegally. They're illegally breaking into our countries, coming into our country. And here you are rewarding it. Question everything. This is why Democrats, look, liberals, you're the only people still trusting the mainstream media. I'll go to Jimmy Dore, an American liberal, right? Because you guys wanted to see more common sense liberals. Jimmy Dore, I'll recommend him. Bill Maher is a perfect piece of evidence that Americans are the most propagandized people on earth. He truly believes. The observation that Jimmy Dore is missing is that this is mostly Democrats and liberals that believe this. Independents don't trust the mainstream media at the same rate as liberals. I think Democrats trust the mainstream media at 72%, independents at 44%, and Republicans like 20% trust in the mainstream media. I'm just stating the facts here. That's the facts. When I make jokes that, the white liberal woman is the biggest threat to our republic, I ain't lying. Because they're the biggest people who perpetrate white guilt. They're the biggest people, the biggest supporters of all these ideas that erode and destroy our society. Right? Donald Trump draws massive crowds to rally in AOC's backyard. I don't know. I don't need to, we don't need to see the amount of people that showed up, 25,000, right? AOC was happy that, it rained and Donald Trump still got 25,000 people to show up. It must have hurt her soul to see that. That's what I'm saying. AOC is taking L's, right? But I want to talk about something because now I want to move on. I think I'm done with politics for a little bit, actually. So you got your political fix. Now I want to move on to more cultural stuff because I want to say how we got here.
Was your mother in your life?
It
seems like your dad is like a big hero for you.
He is. My dad is like a G. Like he's.
Sorry, guys. It played on its own. Like I'm trying to apologize because I already got spoiled. But I want to talk about fatherlessness because my whole argument is the core vision of America First is that your identity don't matter. Your nationality matters. If your butt is an American, these problems affect you. And one of the biggest issues that's affecting our culture is fatherlessness homes. Now, I hear the liberals screeching in the back, literally shaking right now, because I'm about to point out the disadvantages of a single mother household, because those are they make up the largest percentages of single parents. All right, everyone knows the stats. One stat is, because Black community always complaining about poverty, Black community has the highest percentages of single motherhood in their community. Single parent households have a higher propensity for poverty than married households. And this is where I destroy all this white privilege bullcrap that the Black community likes to lie to itself about. This boogeyman they like to create, like someone just walk up born white and all of a sudden they have a superpower to become rich and successful, more rich and successful than them. That they're better at math than them because they're born white. No. The biggest advantage in the world is having a good family. Period. That supersedes your race, even your economic class to some degree, coming from a good family. That's a big advantage, to the point where leftists are mad at the family. This is why Marxists and socialists hate the nuclear family so much. But the biggest obstacle for the nuclear family is this culture that constantly hate against it. And I blame feminism for this. Feminism loved the breakdown of the nuclear family. But I want to highlight here in this clip here where there's these two girls, they'll be debating back and forth, and both of them were raised by a single parent. Can you guess on the comment section or in the chat which one was raised by a single mom and which one was raised by a single father? Let's get into the video.
Was your mother in your life? It seems like your dad is like a big hero for you.
He is. My dad is like a G. Like he's I call him the OT engineer. I do know my mom, but I was primarily raised by my father and my grandmother and great grandmother.
Yeah, it's just because like I wouldn't say I fundamentally disagree with you guys, with what you guys are saying, but I'm not. I'm atheist or agnostic. I'm not practicing of any religion, but I grew up in the church for 16 years. So my mom made me go every weekend.
Which church?
Baptist.
Well, why are you wearing a cross if you're atheist?
For fashion and irony. I don't know.
So, and that's one thing I want to point out is that when people like atheists or people who say, I'm not Christian, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-choice, I like to kill babies, and they wear the Christian cross, and they ask, why are you wearing the Christian cross? Oh, it's fashion, whatever. Isn't that mocking a religion? If you was wearing the Jewish star and you weren't Jewish, wouldn't Jewish people be offended by that? Like, make it make sense. This is the logic these people run with. Liberals are the biggest perpetrator of this. This is the logic you run with. If I wear, let's say, I wear a Mexican hat, sombreros, and I put a Mexican style mustache on, people will call me a racist. Hey, you're culturally appropriating. They'll get offended on behalf of Mexican people because I wore Mexican attire when I'm not Mexican. Okay, let's try that logic. You're not a Christian. You're an atheist wearing a cross. And when the question, hey, why are you wearing that? Oh, just for fashion. Imagine that. Imagine my argument about the why are you wearing that Mexican sombrero? Oh, just fashion. You expect Mexicans to be offended by that, but you don't expect Christians to be offended by someone who don't believe in God, who is an atheist wearing a cross? These people are some hypocrites, bro. This is what I'm trying to highlight. That in our culture, we don't have a respect for Christianity. That's why I said, Christians, y'all need to stop being tolerant. Y'all need to start standing up for yourselves. Y'all need to start being more bolder about your faith. That's why I did 2 videos on Harrison Buckner's speech. It's time to stand for something or you fall for anything. And this is what happens when you're too tolerant. Because now you got people coming here trying to tell you how you should act as a Christian. What are the acceptable parameters for you to be a Christian? Just like the Democrats come in and tell me what's the acceptable parameter to being a black man. Literally, they're doing the same thing to Christians. It all started when they took the Bible out of the church. They told you, hey, you can't practice your religion. You can't your religion in public square, in public schools. You got to be covert. You got to hide it behind closed doors. And then when this transgender people come in with their perverted books and we're saying, hey, no, you got to do the same thing. You got to keep it in behind closed doors. They want to get mad. Oh, you're denying our existence. Christians can say the same thing. You're denying their existence. You don't allow them to teach religion in school. You don't allow them to teach the Bible in school, but you want us to let them teach this perverted crap to our kids? Make it make sense. These people fall under the weight of their own logic and ideology. But then when you realize that it's not really about consistency or principles, it's only about power. And whatever positions help them further their power, that's the position that they will take. And that is the reality of many people on the left. I digress. Let's continue.
Yeah, sorry. Is that blasphemous? But it's kind of like a fashion thing.
It's just
right
kind of
now.
strange.
It's definitely a trend.
You know?
I mean, I still grew up in the church. I'd still say I'm spiritual, but I'm not practicing. I don't like follow the gospel like that. But
so you more so like believe in God and Jesus, but just not the
No.
church structure?
No.
Oh, no.
I have a connection to the church, and I'd say I have a connection to my spirituality, but I don't believe. I don't believe that I would know if there was a.
AKA, hey, look, I'm morally relative. I just make excuses for why I should be allowed to wear a Christian cross around my neck, even though I'm not Christian. Like, that's blasphemous. That can be considered a mockery on someone's religion. Right? If I wear, what's they call that thing on the Jewish people's stuff on their head? If I wore that and I'm not a Jewish person, Jewish people will have the right to be a little bit offended about what I'm doing. Hey, why are you wearing that? You're not a Jew. Are you Jewish? Are you practicing Jew? Are you doing? No, I just, it's just a fashion trend right now. How much outrage would the Jewish people have? That's the same amount of outrage I believe Christians should have. I think non-religious people need to stop wearing religious symbols. But it's all a part of American culture that they don't see any differential, right? But then, God forbid, a Christian wants to implement policies informed by their worldview, and outrage. Make it make sense.
Creator.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
But
just relativism.
yeah. Okay. But back to my point, what I was saying was like, I feel like I do agree, but I don't think it's fair to women out there, especially women who do work to organize their lives around their families. Because I had a single mom, and the way you describe your dad reminds me of the way I felt about my mom, And although I do think women are more emotional, and that like increased emotional response can lead to like playing checkers instead of chess, I think maybe when women are able to subtract men from their lives, or like just like, I don't know, I think that there are women out there who can play life like a chess game, or that, like, I wish I could say that I could, even though I was
Don't you think your mom probably had to lean into her masculinity because she was a single mom?
Oh, definitely, but I don't see a problem with leaning into your masculinity. But I wish I could act like I was playing a game of chess.
In order for her, to go to her point, you're saying that you notice some of the things that she's talking about relevant to your relationship and your dynamic with your mom, but she had to take on a masculine role.
So the whole point here is, and I don't remember the timestamps. I should have had the timestamps ready, but the whole core of the argument here is that she felt some type of way about comparisons between the outcomes of a single father household and a single mother household. At the end of the day, the data stats are in that people from single fathers seem to be have more favorable outcomes compared to someone raised by a single mom. We noticed that's with single motherhood. I already told you. The poorest person in America is a single mother, regardless of race. They're the poorest individuals, right? They're the ones that kill kids at a disproportional rate compared to single fathers. Now, people say it's because oftentimes they have more custody of the children. Oftentimes, if a father wins custody of the child, it validates him as being a better parent because of the odds, right? Because if all things are the same, the child will go to the mom. All these arguments to make excuses for why the fact that child mortality, negligence, abuse is usually surrounded with single moms. The stepfather factor. In an abusive household, it is more likely that the abuser is a stepfather than the kid's actual father. So this narrative that Hollywood always sells about the abusive husband, the abusive father, that's usually the stepdad, not the biological father of the actual kid. Women, I'm no mean to tell a personal story, but I knew this exact thing happened to a black girl I used to know in school. Right? Her mom kicked her out because, oh, you try to sleep with my man. They don't tell you about this ratchet-ish in the black community. They want to pretend that, oh no, there's nothing wrong being raised by a single mom. But I saw some ratchetness when I was growing up. And that's why I don't believe I'm about to curse out here. The BS that the black community like to make excuses for single moms. I see how bad it can get in a single mother household, where you're choosing your man over your child, where you feel like you competing with your daughter. I seen some ratchet-ish in my life. Y'all want to know? Y'all want more story times with Kenny? I was going to college. And this girl's boyfriend cheated on her with her mom. Yes, you heard that correctly. The single mom of the daughter had slept with her daughter's boyfriend. I forgot the age difference. I think the lady there, it was like a 17-year difference between the girl and her. The mom was like, the girl was 19, 20 years old. Mom was like 37 years old. Boyfriend slept with both of them. Craziness. Some crazy ish like that. I'm like, wow. I thought I saw it all. I heard it all. Ratchetness. There's stories about how black women are sexualized at an early age. That's because they got stepfathers in the house. Stepfathers are the most likely person to grape the child, compared to the biological father. But what Hollywood tells you, it's better to be raised in a house by a single mom than an abusive dad. But they don't tell you the abusive dad is most likely a stepfather. Make it make sense. But single motherhood is good. Divorce is good. And child support only brings more incentive to this garbage. You're making the biological father pay for child support. If they get divorced, you're making them pay for a house. And then you're going to bring in somebody, because if the mom don't vet them properly, they're more vulnerable to sexual abuse, domestic violence. Because think about it. It's not in men's natural state to take care of people that are not biologically tied to them. But this is the feminist lie. And then when we see all the negative outcomes, all the school shooters, if not all, majority of school shooters come from single parent households. Majority of rapists come from single mother household. Majority of high school dropouts, kids with behavioral problems, kids who get suspended chronically out of school, all come from single mother households. Single moms have to exert more force, which is where the abuse angle comes in. Because there's stats out there that suggest that when a woman have a husband, she's more emotionally stable compared to when she doesn't have one. So as a single mom, when you're raised by a single mom, you're raised in a less emotionally stable environment, which explains a lot of the promiscuous behavior of a lot of women raised under single moms. The over-sexualization, the need for validation. There's a lot of correlations I'm pulling here. But it was sexist for, during the 1920s when a divorce happened, the custody of the kids goes primarily to the father, not the mother, because the mother didn't work. Mother couldn't accrue debt because she couldn't work, not because of patriarchy, but because all the jobs were based in physical labor. And what woman would be able to endure a physical job like that? So the laws made sense. But feminists will spin it as, oh, look at the patriarchy. Everything was in men's favor. This is the lies that they tell us, making us pick outcomes that are less favorable for America. Because now America as a whole, right? I'm not making special treatment. I'm not making special distinctions for race. 40% of Americans are raised by single moms. And we wonder why the crime rate's going up. We wonder why it seemed like there's a mental health epidemic. This is why. You're being raised by a single mom. You live in a less emotionally stable environment. You're more vulnerable to child predators living in a single mother household. Especially if there's no other male figure there. If you don't have a grandpa or an uncle, you're more prone to that. More prone to abuse. It's craziness. Because as a single father, you already know they're going to be overprotective of their kids, strict as hell. Hey, you better not bring no boys around my house or else. And look at the girl, how the girl carries herself. The woman raised by her dad, she carried herself more intelligently. Look how she dressed. You probably can't see the girl on the right side of the screen, the one that has the cross, but you can tell based on her attire, she dressed more, trendy is how I'll say it. But the girl raised by her dad dressed somewhat tomboyish. Now, this is the drawbacks when girls are raised by single fathers. They're not the most feminine. I'll give that. So the balance is still there. 2-parent household is the ideal. But the family's being demonized. Saying that the most important vocation in a woman's life is being a mother. Oh my God! Like, look at the ridiculousness our culture incentivizes. I digress. I ranted too long.
So she probably had to do some of the things that she's describing her father did, correct?
Yeah, but she's a woman.
Yes, of course, I know she's still a woman. I'm saying she had to lean into her masculinity in order to probably protect you, provide for you, and also nurture you. So she had much more to do, but those aspects of protection and provision are masculine.
I think that I could be leaning into my masculinity more like on Tuesday than I was on Wednesday, but like they're just all abstract concepts, and at the end of the day, she's a woman, and we're making
if they're abstract concepts, then why would you bring them up as being a differential between the two things if they're just abstract?
They are abstract.
So this is where the atheists start getting in trouble, because remember, I remember I did a video about an atheist from the World Economic Forum talking about how rights is just an abstract concept. Same train of thought here. They're not real. They're just stories we tell ourselves. I could say that about the women's right to vote, right? So those in power make the rules. Therefore, if they decide, hey, climate change is an abstract concept, we don't see that. We don't feel a difference between 1 degree or 2 degrees. Why care about the climate? And this is where atheists gets in trouble, because in reality, atheists are just moral relatives. However the morality is relative to their position, not to something that's outside of themselves. So if they believe, hey, I think euphemism is good. I think being able to kill somebody is good, especially if they do something wrong. Okay, what's wrong? Or whatever I think it is. That's moral relativism. And they think everyone's operating in the same standard, when if someone said, I have a standard, hey, if I do something wrong, I should get punished. Right? If Joe Biden said that the election was rigged, we should be prosecuting him at the same rate that we prosecute Trump for saying that the election was rigged. But does it happen? No. How you know this? Look at Al Gore. Look at Hillary Clinton. Every election since 2000 that the Democrat lost, they denied the results of the election, and they actively, fiercely push out how the election was rigged against them, how the election wasn't safe. But the minute Republicans even say half of what they say, jail, ban them off social media. That's moral relative. That's moral relativism. I'm making the argument. That's moral relativism. Based on what's convenient for the Democratic Party, that's when we enforce morality. It's good when we do it. It's bad when you do it. That's the moral relativism point. And you can't operate a society like that. That's chaotic. There's no structure there. And this is how she's trying to make an argument based off. This is why I said, atheists, I think this is why atheism is falling out of favor right now. That's why everyone's identifying as agnostic now. It's because people are starting to realize you can't build a society based on on relative positions. There have to be some objective framework which all of society have to abide by. That's why the Constitution is so effective. Hey, this is the objective standard in which we must revolve around the country. Relativists will come out and say, oh no, we need the Constitution to be a changing document. No, you don't need the Constitution to be a changing document. You need an objective thing that cannot change, that is always consistent, and you must abide the society by that thing. The minute you make the Constitution a living document, aka you can open it or change it based on current trends, you lose that objectivity that structures society. And it only becomes a game of what? Power. That's the if you bring moral relativism to its rational conclusion, it's about power. He who has the power makes the rules, and it becomes a game of power. No moral society ever comes about from survival of the fittest, right? If we operated our society based on the rules of survival of the fittest, women will be essentially like the caveman days. Because at the end of the day, they can't defend their own right to choose, their own right to vote. That's protected and abided by men. That's a solid argument. I heard the guy right here is about to speak. So if you believe in moral relativism, then you believe, okay, if men decides, hey, women, you shouldn't be allowed to vote. You could only disagree or complain to the point in which you can actually do something about it, which is nothing. So this is why making an argument based on moral relativism is superficial. is dumb in my opinion, especially if you're the weaker gender. Especially when you don't have the advantage. Because that's what moral relativism is. Moral objectivity commands compromise. Oh, I could just do whatever I want, but then I lose something. I sow resentment. People will rise against me to take power from me, and once they take power from me, another person will rise against them. Oppression of the other. How can you make arguments against slavery if everything is based on your truth? That's where that garbage, your truth, come from. And I have an objective standard. Hey, look, society is worse off than it was in the past. When the black community was 85% married, culturally, they did better. As a culture, it was more successful. And if they maintained that through 2024, we would have been one of the richest groups in America. We would have been just like the Jewish people. We run everything. And people were going to be making conspiracy theories about black people. But no. We choose to listen to Lyndon B. Johnson, Great Society Act, let them incentivize single mother households in our households, and we get the negative effects. And now rest of America is feeling it too. Because rest of America, 40% raised by single moms. And the same outcomes that the black community is having is going to be widespread in our country. That's what American First policies are trying to fix. We don't care about race. We don't care about none of that. We care about behavior. We care about decisions. And we care about outcomes. Look at the outcomes of single parent households. Look at it. I digress, man. Hey, let me get back because there's a point in the conversation I really want to get out there.
But what I'm saying is, I think it's problematic to.
Yeah, but you're a relativist. Everything's abstract.
That's okay.
And why is it problematic for her to put her father on her pedestal?
It's not problematic for her to put her father on a pedestal.
Well,
I'd say it's problematic to say that men are always playing chess and women are always playing checkers because chess is fundamentally a higher intelligent game.
Is that a true statement?
No. I'd say
no. So then why should we believe you if it's not a true statement?
Why should you believe
Why should we believe what you just said, that some women are doing this, some men are doing that?
An easy answer would have been, I'm an imperialist. I look at the data, I look at the facts, and then she had to give up facts. But moral relativist, they rely on narratives. And that's just what that's what I accuse the mainstream media of doing. They're just building narratives, right? Based on their position. Oh, this position helps our thing, even though we did the exact same thing in 2004. But now we're gonna condemn Trump. We're gonna let Trump look like the devil because he did it, even though we did it years ago. We did it 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 8 years ago. But we're gonna demonize you for the same thing because right now it helps us. I'm telling you, this is what we have to look. This is what American First is trying to warn the America. Hey, look, these people only push things that's good for them. The wealthy, the white liberal, even their circumstances of how they treat black people. Oh, they need affirmative action. It's coming from a condescending, hey, you can't do nothing for yourself. You don't know what a computer is. It's coming from that mindset. It's coming from this racial superiority that white liberals project unknowingly. This benevolent racism. This is what the white liberal is guilty of. And because of that guilt, they reward the blacks that fall in line with that narrative. Oh, I'm a victim, white liberal massa. All right, here's your DEI job. Here, I'll make you an executive getting paid $400K a year with bonus and compensation to instill DEI in corporations and make sure they're trying to get a racial quota. But black Democrats have the gall to call black conservatives coons. But they don't call these DEI people coons because their job is made up. What a DEI person even do? Make sure the corporation hires more black people. How are you going to hire more black people? You create a criteria that favors them, that gives them more opportunities than other groups of people, even though the other groups of people are probably better qualified on average than the other ones. Certain fields, there's not enough black applicants to fill them. There's some professions that only have 5% of the black community working in those fields. Yet they want we want a representative workforce. For certain industries, that's impossible for that to happen. Aerospace engineering being one of them. But God forbid, we're an aerospace engineering company and we want to push DEI. You have to lower the standards to make that number, because all the qualified black people who are doing it before you became a DEI initiative, before you push your DEI initiative, are already working. And you're going to artificially raise up the value of those black workers because every company wanting to look woke are going to be fighting to employ them. You create an incentive where you're going to start asking people to cut corners. Oh, let me cut corners. Oh, I know he's not quite qualified, but he should be good enough. And people start throwing ish at the wall. This is why they say, hey, DEI means you don't earn it, right? Lowering standards. This is why you get that quit from the conservatives, because that's what you have to do eventually. Because there's just not enough qualified black people to go around for all these companies to be woke. That's the point. This is why we're banning DEI. That's why it needs to remove. This is why DEI is racism under new management. Because you're giving preferential treatment for someone based on their skin color, instead of focusing on their merit, the content of their character, their abilities and skills. It's this participation trophy culture, and I'm sick of it. And I know we were supposed to be talking about fatherless homes, but yeah, fatherless homes do have a worse in life, and all these correlations, all these happenstance proves it.
You just said that it's not a truth statement.
Well, if you want to actually talk about logic, though.
Is it true or not true?
It's a logical fallacy to say something is always one way and never another way.
What's that fallacy called?
It's a trend.
Is it called I just made it the fuck up fallacy? So back to where I was at.
It's not called
So back to where I was at when we're talking about relativism, which is what we're talking about right now. You can't make truth claims.
Relativism is what you're talking about. Okay, I was just talking. She was talking about a trend that she's
but it's not. When you say
she's talking about a stereotype.
When you say something like I disagree, when you say something like I disagree with you, this is not true. This is true. You're a moral relativist. You don't even believe in a standard for truth. You have no standard for truth. Why would you ever make a claim something is true or not true?
Well,
I think I'm done with this video. But for the most part, you get the argument, right? The argument here is that if you look at any society,
70 grams worth of debt.
21-year-old. Why these videos keep doing this to me? They keep playing when I don't want it to play.
This is 70 grand.
So my whole argument where I was leading into it is that fatherless homes have worse outcomes than fatherless homes have worse outcomes than people with a full-fledged nuclear family, right? And I make the point is that it's by design. They want these women to run these households, to lead these households, because they're more easily, I want to say, they're more manipulable. They're more open to, they're more impressionable than men, right? And one unfortunate video I'm about to show to really highlight this point, because remember, America First is not about identity. It's about behavior. Hey, is it good? Like, we're pushing values, right? Is it good for someone to get into debt for college when it's not providing an outcome that is favorable for them? Is it good to let our country, our government, print and spend trillions and trillions of dollars that we do not have, go into debt for it, and then we're wasting more and more tax dollars to pay off interest rates? Our interest rate is about to hit $1 trillion soon. This is unsustainable. And I'm about to make the biggest analogy in my life right now in this video. The government, our U.S. government, acts like modern women financially. Kenny, what do you mean by that? Let's watch this 60-minute video.
Worth of debt.
21-year-old Zoe Zerkler has hit the wall. Big time.
It's my bill, it's my debt, I'll deal with it. And if I can't afford it, I'll just, go bankrupt.
Why does Gen Y keep spending?
Because it's just like having a car accident. You only stop driving irresponsibly after you've hit the wall.
Doesn't that sound like our government? You only stop driving once you hit the wall. Now, this video is going to highlight how women tend to be irresponsible with their financial decisions, right? And the stats show this heavily, that women drive the consumer economy, right? Women also vote heavily for what? The Democrats, single women specifically, right? Because we're talking about fatherlessness homes as well, but we're talking about the nuclear family. When you're with a man, right? This is stats been showing is that women become more practical with their buying decisions. And if you're already a woman that was practical with her buying decisions, you become even more practical when you're aligned with a man. right? Now, I'm not trying to make correlation, causations arguments, but there's a lot of coincidences that if I keep pointing it out, it stops being about coincidences. And it so happens that if only women voted, Democrats will win 100% of the time. So, is it physically responsible for letting our government run itself into debt like a woman putting herself into debt without no plan? There's no plan here. There's no plan to cut the deficit. Imagine that. Why is this an American First point, Kenny? American First is, they're going to increase our taxes to pay for the interest rate that they themselves put us in. The only difference between a woman spending money and the government spending money is the woman will be held accountable for that eventually, either by when she filed for bankruptcy or when she tries to get married. And look, the biggest contributor to divorce is financial reasons. You think going into a marriage with $70,000, you're 21 years old with $70,000 in debt. Would that make it easier for you to get married or harder for you to get married? This is my argument. This is why you see a lot of women dating older men. This is why majority, I forgot. There was 44% of dudes under a certain age not dating, single. A large percentage of men are single, and a larger percentage of women are not single because these single women are actually dating older men because they're 21 years old with $70,000 in debt. And no other 21-year-old dude will marry a woman with $70,000 in debt because he won't be able to afford to pay for that. So she goes to what? People who are more established in their careers. Older Americans make more money than younger Americans. So young women are dating older men. But God forbid, the Andrew Tates of the world, the Fresh and Fits of the world, if they say, dudes marry young women, everyone's going to call them predators. Oh my God, you just want control and dominance over a young woman. You're trying to take advantage of young women. When if I flip it, I can make the argument that young women are trying to take advantage of older men because they have debts they need to pay. This is a problem in our culture, and this is something we need to fix. I'm telling you. It's the same thing with Social Security. Just like you're trying to tell these women, hey, you got to change your spending habits. You'll see. You'll see. Perfect analogy here. Perfect analogy. How the government act like women. Sorry women. But this is stats. Most women act like these women here, especially if you're a young modern woman. Let's take a look.
Welcome to Manosphere Highlights Daily. The wall is undefeated. In this space, we're discussing the impact of the biological wall, but the financial wall is also making a lot of noise in modern society and making its championship run.
This is a generation which is only going to know debt and no assets, and that's an extremely dangerous combination for an economy facing a global recession.
The world financial crisis is being caused by debt. Why does Gen Y keep spending?
Because it's just like having a car accident. You only stop driving irresponsibly after you've hit the wall.
This 60 Minutes Australia video provides great insight into female nature in the context of modern society, which is essential for men to understand in order to protect themselves at all times.
And this is a message I'll give men in general, whether you're conservative, even if you're a liberal, libertarian. Dating has become it's become more important than ever for discernment. Learning how do you filter someone, how do you filter for a good partner? Because I see a lot of these conservatives are talking about what women need to look out for. Women can't find a good man. But they don't ask what criteria do the women themselves have. They say, I have a good life. I build a nice life for myself. Then you find out building a nice life for yourself. This woman's in $70,000 worth of debt. You don't think that would be a deal breaker for a lot of men, especially in this economy? And they're wondering why it's hard for women to find a date. Why it's hard for women to find a guy that they're satisfied with? Because you're coming with baggage that guy probably don't want to necessarily commit to. Because most divorce is due to financial reasons. And what I'm saying is, hey, if you look at the data, look at the facts, men, try to filter out women that are not financially responsible. Because end of the day, I know it's a garbage rule. She could be pretty, she could be beautiful, but she's going to be a headache. And that's going to be an unnecessary tension on your relationship with that woman. And I think not enough women, conservatives, are talking about that aspect of it. that a lot of these women are coming in to this idea that, oh, my husband's going to pay off my debt. And then they're surprised why young women are dating older men. But then at the same time, chastise older men for dating younger women. Make it make sense. Who needs the relationship more? The younger woman or the older man? I'll leave that up for you guys in the comment section.
Let's talk about it. We men
forward to when you were 40. This is what you're going to look like.
And the one thing the government and modern women, seem to have in common is the lack of foresight, the lack of ability to look long term. Because and I don't say it's just women, but America in general, like we put these politicians in that, we're not going to touch Social Security, but Social Security continues to be a bigger problem. $2 trillion is used for Social Security and Medicare alone. That's too big of a cost. And then add on top of that we're almost at $1 trillion interest rate. Like we have to pay almost $1 trillion of interest on all the debts that we have collected as the U.S. government. So that's going to be another thing that we have to pay for on top of our tax dollars. All this government spending is killing us. But instead of making plans, hey, we gotta start touching that deficit. We gotta cut social programs because we gotta free up money. The money has to come from somewhere. We can't just keep taxing our citizens to continue trying to pay this debt. It's unsustainable. This lifestyle is unsustainable, government, but they don't care because they don't suffer no negative consequences for it. And I'm just pleading to the American people that you have to be the negative consequence. You got to be like, nah, this ain't it. Vote them out. Vote them all out. Oh, you're a Republican that like to spend money for physically irresponsible bills, like sending money to foreign adversaries when we don't really have it. You want to put our country in debt. They get the money debt free. And then when we economically collapse as a country, no one other countries out around to help us. Literally, America's being treated like a slave state. 100% of the tax dollars we pay for it, but we get little of the benefit from it. I digress.
I hope not. God.
But more importantly, if Emma continues to borrow at her current rate, by the time she's 40, she will have paid $77,500 in interest. The story's the same for Amanda.
Oh,
That's you at 40.
that's disgusting. Where's the Botox?
Put it on the card. But the real crunch is your financial situation when you're 40.
Oh.
With your credit card debt, a big car loan, and if you don't pay it on time, you would have paid $82,000 in interest.
This is pure gold.
It is. Because it shows that a lot of Americans, and I'm not picking on women here, I'm just making the point because at the end of the day, 85% of consumer spending is driven by women. That means if women became more, let's say, financially literate, financially practical, stocks will be cut across the board. This is why corporations cater so much to women. This is why they want women to be making most of the money, because if women are making most of the money, imagine that. Right now in most marriages, the man is still the breadwinner. But if they're able to tip the scale and make women the breadwinner, they know, okay, most of that breadwinner's money is going to be spent in our economy. That's the game. That's the game right there. So when men say, oh, why does DEI focus so much on women, white women, black women? This is why. Because they want them to be the wealthiest people. This is why they invest billions of dollars on getting women in these high corporations. So they go around, come back, get themselves into debt. I don't know how much money this lady makes, but over the span, by the time so in 20 years, she'll be paying $70,000, $82,000 in interest. Imagine she had a higher income. She'll put herself in even more debt. This is why they say you don't want more money. More money only amplifies your habits already. So if you can get in debt, making a lower income, if you get rich, you'll put yourself in a bigger financial hole. I always make this argument. This is a thesis I always run with. A man making $60K a year will save about the same amount of money as a woman making twice his salary, $120,000. I believe that. 85% consumer spending driven by women. And then black women wonder why they're the most evicted group of people in America. Those women, black women, yeah, I blame black culture for this, but y'all are incentivized to be very materialistic. Always in debt. Always. That's why y'all always looking to the government to save y'all. That's why y'all the most loyal Democratic voter, because you're looking for the government to bail you out. And that's what it is. They're looking for a bailout plan. And the government operates the exact same way. Oh, we'll just we'll just continue increasing people's taxes. We'll continue printing more money. But this is not sustainable. And I put this analogy because in 20 years, millennials like me, Gen Z, we ain't gonna have Social Security. The baby boomers want to extract all the resources. They want it now, and we pay later. That's the game that's going on in the government right now. I'm not trying to blame baby boomers, but I'm just saying, y'all not incentivized to touch Social Security. If Congress cuts Social Security today, it will benefit millennials and Gen Z right now, because then we can get ahead of this problem. But right now, government likes to what? Pass the puck down the road. They don't want to deal with it now. Oh, no, we're not going to touch Social Security because we'll lose political power if we say we're going to touch Social Security. But doing this, closing your eyes, closing your ears, and try to pretend that it's not a problem, is not going to be the solution. And every generation before us had an opportunity to do something about Social Security and fix it and actually make it a sustainable thing. But it requires what? Sacrifice. A generation would have to sacrifice Social Security for themselves. And as we've seen in politics right now, because baby boomers are still a big electric in our elections, no politician will touch that, because then that's political suicide. And I'm not even saying I'm in favor of removing Social Security. All I'm saying is we need to reform it, because paying I already forgot the numbers. $2.7 trillion on Social Security and Medicaid. Our interest rate, all the debts that the U.S. government borrow, is almost $1 trillion, guys. That means they don't have to raise taxes on all of us. If we want to pay off our debt right now, each and every American citizen within the sound of my voice will have to pay $100,000. That's six figures. Each of us has to pay six figures to pay off what our U.S. government is doing. That's why I say government are like women. Government is like a spoiled daughter with a rich dad. Just put it on daddy's credit card. Put it on America's credit card. That's what the U.S. government is doing to us right now. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me I'm lying. I need facts in the comment section right now. In the chat right now. I need facts right now, because tell me I'm lying. And the funny part is they're not paying for it. That's why I said, yo, you paying with daddy's money. You playing with America's money. And then you want to get mad when America is trying to cut you off. When America is trying to tell you, hey, Susie, stop spending so much money on Ukraine. Hey, Susie, I think we spent enough money in Israel. Hey, Susie, let's stop getting into the store. Let's stop getting into these wars and making me pay for all this stuff. See, this is why I start becoming a little libertarian. This is why I start saying, hey, taxation really is theft. You're putting the bill on me. You're increasing my personal liability, right? Because I'm a citizen of this country. That $35 trillion is not the U.S. government's debt. It's partially my debt, because my tax dollars is paying for that, and welfare and all this other stuff. And you want to look down on American people? The American people are mistaken about it not being a strong economy. Government, you don't produce anything. And the people who are producing, the people who are working, the people who are paying taxes, if they're telling you, yo, this feels like a recession, you believe us more than your experts. And then they wonder why majority of Americans think that the U.S. government is a threat to democracy, because they are. They selling us crap because they're getting paid by politicians. They're getting access to privy information. Craziness. Shout out to the chat. Eric, shout out to Eric Allison. You ain't lying. It's no wonder that they can't pay their college loans. Hey, look, this is the reality. Look, I saw a video from a prominent conservative person, I think Brett Cooper, it was. And she talked about how what women want. And there's a viral TikTok that's going around like is using the song of like a G6. If you're whatever, and it's talking about they want a trust fund a guy with a trust fund, 6'5", blue eyes. Pretty much talking about Barron Trump. They want a Barron Trump. Modern women on TikTok want a Barron Trump. 6'5", I think he's 6'7". I don't know if he has blue eyes, but blue eyes, trust fund. That's the kind of man that women on TikTok are saying they want. And all their criteria is always based around the financials, because a lot of women are in this predicament, in a whole lot of debt, but nothing to show for it. But you know what you know how women justify their actions the same way that our government justify government spending? It's what's needed. It's necessary. It's what, if that's the price to pay for democracy around the world, they'll do it. This is the lies they tell us. The lies they tell themselves and what they tell us. Let's continue with this video.
They are highlighting a double wall. Women in their 40s with debt that they will most likely never pay off. This is not our responsibility, guys. It's not a man's job to save these women who are deliberately racking up these debts. These women don't want to be saved. Check this out.
Are you worried about the future now?
$82,000 is the price that I pay for being happy, for being able to indulge myself in all the luxury items that I've bought over the past 40 years. That's what it is.
You hear that? See, this is the demographic of women that vote overwhelmingly for the Democratic Party. Oh, if this is the price that I have to pay, record high inflation, limited job prospects. I graduated from college and it's hard for me to find a job. But Democrats will extend abortion rights. If that's the price I have to pay, I'll vote Democrat. Women. We need to come in a huddle. What the F are y'all doing? Come on. Y'all can't be like, it's one thing y'all get mad when, guys stereotype you guys. Oh, you guys play checkers. Because look, I always try to, make my videos come together. In the last clip we saw, the girl got offended. Oh, it's unfair to say single moms play checkers and single fathers play chess. But doesn't that sound like she playing checkers and not chess? I'm just saying. Now, I'm saying the government do the same thing. Government's playing checkers out here because they're just looking for their immediate need. Can I go outside? I'm still go. My son made a surprise interest. But this is the case. Like, this is the things that they do. They only think their immediate need. I need my money for Ukraine. Right? I need my kickbacks from Israel. Right? I need to keep my political position. They only think up ahead, but they don't think like 20 years down the line what's going to happen to the rest of America, because they don't care. You think Lindsey Graham care about the national debt? He's like, bro, I'm going to die in like 10 years. I'm going to enjoy this money. I'm not going to have to, $35 trillion debt? Shoot. Luckily, I don't have to live long enough to deal with that, to be affected by that. This is the problem why I have a problem with our Congress still being overwhelmingly, like the average age of Congress is like 55 years old. This is why I have a problem with it. Because they're not voting in the interest of they're not voting in the interest of Americans. And if they are voting in the interest of some Americans, they're most likely baby boomers. Baby boomers don't want you to cut Social Security. Baby boomers don't care about the deficit. Baby boomers don't really care about it. They only care as much as if how it's going to affect them personally right now. But when they're dead and gone, who's going to hold the bag? Who's going to pay the cost? We are. That's the only differential between the modern woman and the government. The modern woman, she gonna lay in the bed that she made. But the government that got us into this mess won't be the government that experienced the consequences of their mess. That's the only difference right now between the two situations or examples that I'm putting in front of you. You see the picture? Because I feel like these things are easier for people to comprehend when it comes to economic policy, because economic policy is complicated. They use a lot of jargon to scare you from looking into it because they don't want you to know what you're doing. Inflation is the price you pay for free government handouts. Because when you print more money, you dilute the quality of it. Printing money is like putting water into your soda. Eventually, it's going to become water, aka nothing. That's inflation. That's the simplest way I could break it down. Let's continue with the video.
It's worth it.
It is, it's worth it. When you put it in a lump sum like that, yeah, it's horrendous and it's scary, but that's what I've got to do to have a future. Hopefully better than that one. So.
Why is Generation Y so ballsy about debt and confident that you can pay it off?
I know that I will be successful because I will make myself successful because I know I have this debt. So it can be a driving factor. It's scary though.
When Americans say, how can we pay for 2 different wars? We got the money. We could do it. We'll find a way. We'll tax the rich. We'll make the rich pay their fair share. If the rich pay their fair share, we'll get this amount of money back. It's enough to pay for free healthcare, all this stuff. And then my butt comes here and says, how feasible is that? How probable is that you'll be able to tax the rich at that amount? End of the day, the problem with government is it's so slow and inefficient that by the time it even gets in the position where it can institute a higher tax rate, a wealth tax. You see what happened in California? Here's a perfect example of how taxing the rich actually destroys America. It hurts common Americans more than it hurts rich Americans. Because who is it easy for to leave the country? Us peasants or the rich? I'll wait. The rich people got $300 million yachts. They can go to another country like that. They don't need to go to no airplane. They don't need to ask the government permission to fly out or leave the country. And they're the reason they pay almost 40% of the taxes by themselves, the top 1% of taxpayers. So your government comes in and say, oh, we're going to tax the rich. We're going to tax their fair share. And the rich go, I'll move my headquarters to another country. I'll revoke my American citizenship. So what claim do you have to their money now? None. And then when the tax revenue goes to a shortfall, literally the rich has our government by the you know what. This is why they listen to the donors. New York, God forbid the rich leaves because they know their whole system is reliant on the rich. Look what happened in Louisiana. St. George, the wealthy people of the Baton Rouge made their own district. Everybody mad because they know, oh, those are the rich people. They're where most of the money was coming from. And they made their own district because they weren't being representative. That's exactly what I predict. That's exactly what's going to happen. Because what a smart economist once said in his book, Thomas Sowell, that people pretend that when they make these adjustments, they think it's purely mathematical, but they don't take into account the response. What will be the response if we raise the taxes to 20%? California had to find out the hard way with minimum wage laws. They increased the minimum wage to $25 an hour. They lost 10,000 jobs because they couldn't see past the next move. They were playing checkers, not chess. California had a luxury mansion tax. If you live in California, no, not California, an LA tax, a mansion tax. If you bought a mansion, they'll tack another, I think it was like a 7%, 4% tax on top of the purchase price. So you buy a mansion for, let's say, $100 million. California say, hey, you got to pay us 4% on that $100 million, making your total cost what? Maybe an extra $4 million in taxes? So what did rich people do in California? Oh, we're not buying houses in Los Angeles anymore. We'll buy around Los Angeles. And Los Angeles lost tax revenue. Tax revenue went down. And all I said was dummies, idiots. You couldn't see past the first move. Oh, look at it. We're going to get so much money. Look, there's 100 million matches that get sold every year in Los Angeles. Imagine us. We get a 4% cut on this. We'll get a lot of tax revenue a year after they pass the policy. Shortfall, lost 22%. Housing sales went down in Los Angeles. No one wanted to buy a house in Los Angeles. It was harder to sell a house in Los Angeles. They don't see past the immediate short-term thinking. And that's what's been running our government for years. This is the vision about American First. If you're thinking about American First, you start looking about, okay, what are the consequences of this decision? Could America live with this trade-off? No. How does this help Americans? You just hurt all the real estate agents in Los Angeles with that dumbass policy. How is that American first? But you wanted to look good, Democrats, instead of actually being good. That's the core vision of American first. We don't care about looking good. We care about being good. We don't care about looking presidential. What's a more effective president? A president that says mean things on Twitter? Or a president that, oh, I'm a united in chief, but all his policies negatively hurt you? America First demands, yo, these politicians are supposed to be for you. They're supposed to be working for your interest. They're supposed to be working to preserve your status, your lifestyle, your way of life in America. That's what they should be about. It shouldn't be about no other person. An American politician shouldn't be trying to prioritize the needs of outsiders over yourself. We call men bad fathers when they prioritize other people's kids over their own kids. Yet we don't sit here and chastise our government for picking citizens of other countries over their own countries. This is the argument for American First. This is why I said our government acts like women, like these women here, irresponsible, waiting to hit a catastrophe before they realize the error of their ways. I digress. Let's continue. I'll give this video one more minute, and then I'll end off this video with Vivek Ramaswamy.
It really is. But unfortunately, we need it. We need the money.
Their behavior will only change when it's forced to change. That's what the wall does. It stops women in their tracks. You can see that these women don't want to think about this day. They want to believe that they will be forever 21. This is why the wall hurts so much, because these women are not prepared for it.
21-year-old Zoe Zerkler has hit the wall. Big time.
There's an 11 grand personal loan, a 9 grand TV, a 10 grand car. There's
9 grand what? TV? I know I didn't hear that. Did I hear that right? Let's go back.
Big time.
There's an 11 grand personal loan, a 9 grand TV, a 10 grand car. There's a 2 grand credit card. There's a $1,000 credit card.
The $11,000 personal loan, I wonder what she used it for. Maybe for vacations? I knew a girl, bro, and I'm done commenting on this video because it highlights that as Americans, we play a part into this too. Because we can't just keep blaming our government. Oh my God, our government's using us, our government's abusing us, our government keeps running up the deficit. Who voted them in? Us Americans, we did that. We're like that young lady. We got $11,000 personal loan for whatever reason, and we spent it. We're not thinking the long-term consequences. There's some accountability on us as the voters too. But I believe that's due mostly to ignorance, due to mostly to mainstream media kind of filtering out information that goes contrary to what they want to happen. So I don't really fault Americans like that. But it's the same argument these ladies in that video were making. Oh, we weren't taught finances. Oh, they just lead us into these situations. But God forbid, Harrison Buckner says, hey, submit to your husband. Your family is the greatest thing about your life. Not this materials. Look at the girls. Materialism, luxury items. Oh, is this the price of being happy? I'll pay it. But you telling them go get a family. Like, what's more preferable? Because I bet you married women ain't getting into this type of debt. Single women don't have a retirement plan. They can't pay this off by themselves. And there will be what? More primed and more open to a politician coming down the line saying, I'll pay off your debt. Look, that's what the student loan debt is about. Student loan debt forgiveness helps who? Not men, women. This is why single women are the most loyal Democratic voters. But I think we have to show them like, yo, this is not beneficial for all of us in the long term. Eric Allison, I was just going to comment on Vivek. LOL, he needs the ball after Trump. For real. Vivek's my guy, bro. Vivek's the future, bro. If it's one thing, bro, Vivek's really was the guy that almost made me register as a Republican. I'm an independent right now. He almost made me register as a Republican, but I saw that he had no chance. But I think the best advocate for the American First movement is Vivek Ramaswamy, bar none. He's Indian. He's not a white person. So all these, American First is about white nationalism. Look at Vivek. He's a nationalist. Is he white? I'm a nationalist. Am I white? Hell no. But we all have a common interest here. Hey, what America's doing is bad for all of us. America's a boat. And when we see the Democrats here, we want to drill, we want to put wings on this boat. We're like, stop that. You're going to put water in the boat and drown us. Because we all our survival hangs on the fact that that boat is still floating. That's what America is. And all we're saying is, hey, we're all our lives are at stake right now in this. Like, we should be doing what's best for keeping this thing smooth and steady, not wasting food, not giving more food to this group of people because they've been oppressed in the past. Their ancestors have been oppressed in the past, or we got to give them more food. But then majority of the crew will starve. So the majority of the crew oppressed us. They made us slaves on this ship. Now we want reverse discrimination to make up for past discrimination. And then you find out 66% of the crew members are white, the people that they want to starve out, and they were the ones who's mainly maintaining the ship. If they start dying off, you can't maintain the ship. This is what a country is. It's no different. A country is just a family at scale. That's it. The things you'll do in your family, things you wouldn't do in your family, is the same thing you shouldn't do in your country. You shouldn't divide between your brother and your sister because your brother is a year younger than your sister. Like you're discriminating based on age. You shouldn't do that. They're both your sisters. Just like I wouldn't discriminate against an American because he's white and the other is black. If the black American do something to the white American, hey, that's wrong. If the white American do something to the black American, hey, that's wrong. Hey, you black American call this white American out of a racial slur, hey, that's wrong. That's racist. White American calls a black American a racial slur, hey, that's wrong. That's racist. I'm talking about consistency. That's American first. Because y'all both Americans. That's all I care about. This is why I hate, this is why identity politics and the American First movement is going to hit a conflict. It's going to hit a conflict because these white people, white nationalists, they're going to conform to this vision. They're going to conform to the vision of American First, not race first. I hate race first politics. I hate identity first politics because that's what's destroying our country. That's what stopped Occupy Wall Street. Identity politics. Identity politics is a glorified divide and conquer. But I digress. I've been ranting too long. I'm going to let this video play out a good minute, and let's hear what Vivek has to say about this vision.
Are we going to unite the political class, many of whom have vested interests in the policies we're talking about here? I mean, you're not supposed to say it this way, but let's be honest. When you talk about the Democratic Party apparatus, no, I'm not going to bring that party apparatus along, but am I going to bring along their constituents? Absolutely we will with these policies, because most Americans agree that we are still bound by the rule of law, that a nation without borders is not a nation. Now, the Democratic Party apparatus wants these policies because it's the hard truth. They're importing long-run voters, right? So it's no accident that the very people who are in favor of open border policies are also the same people who happen, by some massive coincidence, it's not a coincidence, but it's a massive coincidence, to be against voter ID laws. It's a totally separate issue.
Let me ask you this, guys. Does that sound like American First? Does Democrats American First? Because look, American First it's not tied to one party. It's an ideal that should be commonplace. In a patriotic country, this should be 100% yes, it makes sense. Take care of our own first. Because if we can't help ourselves, how you expect us to help the world? How you expect us to support NATO? America's spreading itself thin right now. We're supporting 2 wars, right? I have a little conspiracy theory in my head is that China is literally waiting for America to exhaust itself over 2 wars, and then is waiting for the perfect time to strike. And then you become supporting 3 wars. And you're battling 3. Like, end of the day, you're spreading yourself thin, America. Your supply is not limitless. You're putting yourself in more economic debt to fund these wars, not at the benefit of your own people, but at the benefit of your alliances. Where's your allies? Your allies are not contributing as much into NATO as you are. You pay more into NATO than any other country combined when you're the least at threat of an invasion from Russia. Make it make sense. That's an American last concept. And the Democrats show that every time they speak about it. They voted against a bill that would stop non-Americans from voting in local elections in D.C. Democrats voted against that bill. They're party first. They're not America first. They're party first. Democrats are party first. They're Democrat first. When they say threat to our democracy, they're not talking about Americans. They're talking about themselves. They're a threat to democratic power. That's what democracy means from a Democrat. Republicans got it some in their ranks too. About half the party represents that too. Party first, actually uniparty first, politicians first. Yes, half of the Republicans, I grant you that. Half of the Republicans agree with that, but half of the Republicans don't. And that's our shot. The future is America first. That's my vision. And I think, he's trending in the right place. Vivek's trending with the right people. I'm young, I'm under 30, I'm 28 years old. Right? You see on YouTube, you see a lot of black men like what Vivek has to say. I don't care if he runs for president. He has to be involved in this party. He better be chairman of the National Republican Party. He got to, in some capacity, he has to be, because he's one of the biggest advocates for conservative movement. To me, he's the best spokesperson. He's the best advocate for it. That's why I want him to be VP. He may not be VP. It sounds like Marco Rubio might be VP. It sounds like J.D. Vance might be VP just to win the political battle. But for long term, Vivek's vision, articulation, he's the future. But you got other people who don't like him, right? You got Republican donors threatening to withdraw their donations from Trump if they make Vivek the VP. Make that make sense. That's what I'm talking about. Look, hey, I call it down the middle, both sides. I'm calling both sides out here. For all my detractors that said, Kenny, you're biased, you're this. I'm biased towards one thing. What's in America's best interest? What's in my people's best interest? And when I say my people, I'm not talking about black people. I'm talking about Americans. Your ass got American in your national identity. You my people. Eric Ellison says, they're all about privilege and power. I think Vivek will be a terrific AG. Attorney General, hey, sounds good. I know he has a law degree, but he's versatile. I would like Vivek to be chief of staff too, or set national policy. The Federal Reserve. The reason why I want Vivek chief of staff because he's been fixated on firing the FBI. That's why I want him to be chief of staff. But I don't know what capacity is more in control of that. Department of Education will be a good one for him too, because I believe he's a great educator. And that's what I try to be. I try to educate people. I try to, hey, look, this is where I get the information from. This is what is informing my beliefs, my position. I think these are good conversations to have. Because I believe a more informed populace, a more informed voter will vote Republican, will vote conservative. Will demand conservatives. Hey, you got to be more conservative first. You got to be willing to fight for these policies. If not, get out. Get out of the party. Retire. Mitt Romney. But I digress. Let's hear more wisdom from Vivek.
If you go back to what Democrats were saying back in 2013, they were saying this publicly back then. This is part of securing lasting electoral majorities. Now they've stopped talking about that as openly. But there's a difference between being bipartisan and reaching across the aisle in Washington, D.C. to the bureaucratic managerial class, which is not our goal and ought not be our goal, versus uniting the country of Americans who have diverse views on a lot of things, but still share the same basic values. 80% of us do in this country. I strongly believe that. That's important to me. That's a goal. And same thing with flushing the administrative state, the same thing. I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican. The people who we elect to run the government ought to at least be the ones who run the darn government.
Yeah, not these little bureaus they have. These things are unaccountable. They're unaccountable to the politicians themselves. They run independently from the politicians. Make it make sense. The government shouldn't be able to give its power away to some separate entity that none of the American people elected it in the first place. The consent of the governed. You want me to respect your authority, but there's no accountability, there's no jurisdiction in your firing or you following the Constitution. FBI on Twitter trying to dictate what speech is allowed and not allowed. Try to take over YouTube. try to censor what you're allowed to speak in public, or we don't want certain information to get out there, so we'll deboost you. FBI trying to play God, essentially. This is why I have a problem with censorship. Because you do not silence a man because you think he's lying. You silence a man because you're scared of what he's going to say. And the FBI is showing itself. The government is showing itself. Biden's dumb attempt at a minister of truth, and you saw how unfavorable that looked. You see these people are trying it now. How is that America first? These politicians, a lot of them are government first, themselves first. That's why I like what Vivek is speaking about. In the future, I would want it to be, hey, you cannot run for public office if you have dual citizenship. I think that's a good policy. The politician ain't going to like it. But if the American people have a shared common foundation, perfect. This is perfect. If the American people have a shared foundation, hey, America first, that's the foundation. Politicians, you get in line or you get out. They have to begrudgingly do what we say. And this has to be continually maintained in our education system. And this is why they don't teach you to love America. This is why they focus on the bad aspects of our history, the negative aspect of our history, right? Democrats never let black people forget that slavery happened in America, that discrimination happened in America. But they don't like to tell the part that Democrats were responsible for it, though. Democrats were responsible for most of the racism that came out of America. Democrats were responsible for slavery, protecting slavery, fighting for slavery. When it came time to vote, Northern Democrats didn't want to vote for the 13th and 14th, 15th Amendment. They only voted for the 13th. And only 8 of them voted. Like, when you go into the history, when you do your own research, you find like, yo, Democrats really are just about themselves, openly, blatantly. And most Republicans, half of Republicans, pretend to be. But we also have a half that legitimately love this country, want to do the best by this country. And we have to incentivize more of those politicians to win. This is why I said it's going to be a war within the conservative movement. Even when Trump wins in 2025, I think that's when you're going to see more infighting. You already see the infighting going on right now with Tucker Carlson, Ben Shapiro's, Candace Owens, a lot of these media personality persons on the conservative right that's fighting amongst themselves. Is because there's an opportunity for power here. This is the trade-off with big tent conservatism. Sorry, we need big tent conservatism to win this election. Sorry, not sorry. That's the truth. That's the facts. That's just the self-evident. Now, I believe you can unify this big tent conservatism under American First because, hey, look, this is, like I said, this is our ship. If we let it die, if we let it drown, that's it. We ain't gonna get another one. That's the common foundation that can pillar big tent conservatism. But then, we still have the debates. We still have all this stuff that's going on because the left has given up on common sense. They're so power hungry. They're so hubris. They're so arrogant that they can sit here and tell people in the Bronx that they're clowns for showing up at a Trump rally. And then they get surprised why people don't trust them. Why they're, oh my God, he has more support than we thought he would. Making AOC eat crow. I love it. This month, May, it's been the month of liberal tears, literally. The courts are failing, right? The hush money stuff, people are done with it. They're like, yo, they're not even interested in it anymore. The Democrats overplayed their hand. That's the truth. That's the reality. Biden's desperate. Now he won a debate. Yo, May was liberal tears month, literally. AOC crying right now, punching air right now. 25,000 people of her constituents showed up for a Trump rally in deep blue New York, in the Bronx. Give me my coffee. Yo, there's a lot of things to be encouraged by, optimistic by. And we got to keep this train going, even after Trump. He's the spark that set the train off, and it's up to us to maintain it. Because it can easily go back again if you're not vigilant. Eric Allison says, liberal tears are delicious. I sweeten my coffee with them. Bro, because these people don't live in reality, man. They live in a world of words. They like to say good things, but they don't like to do good things. Because sometimes doing good things requires sacrifice. That's the truth. That's the reality. But I digress. Let's continue.
That much we can agree on. And by the way, that you're free to speak your mind on, you may disagree with me on abortion or climate change or policy, whatever it is, and we can disagree like hell, but you have the right to say it without some government actor in the deep state threatening a social media company to silence or suppress what you have to say. And we agree on that, even as we disagree like hell on any range of other policy questions, tax rates to energy policies in this country. I think that that's how we actually unite the country. I don't think we're going to unite the country through moderation, through the idea of, let's say there's a football field, showing up at the 50-yard line, reach, stretch, hold hands, and sing Kumbaya. At most, you're going to get the people who are at the 30-yard line over to the middle. I want to unite the whole country, the entire football field. But the way we're going to do that is reviving the common thread that unites that whole country.
And what's the answer to that? It has to be nationalism. A white woman won Miss Africa because her nationality was what? African. She's more African than any African American. But they complain online, the woke blacks on X complaining, how y'all let a white woman win Miss Africa? She has to be representative of the majority of the country. Majority of the country and a majority of the people in Africa are 97% black. How y'all let a white woman be Miss Africa? This is colonization. Or God forbid, the opposite was said to a black woman that won Miss America. They'll be crying in the streets. Hypocrisy. That stuff can't happen here anymore. Identity politics needs to die for an American first future to be possible. And that's what I advocate for. I think that's my position. I think that's the hill I'm going to die on. I'm not just a black American. A black American is just part of my identity. I'm an American as well. I'm American. That should be the ethos of our country. We shouldn't be having people here hating on this country, but still living here, taking advantage of the opportunities here. But they're slandering it, disparaging it, disrespecting it. Those kind of people can't stay in a country, right? You shouldn't be scared of the enemy in front of you. You got to be scared of the enemy behind you, because that's implied that they're supposed to be on your team, but they're backstabbing you. Imagine you're playing a basketball game, and you're playing offense against the defending people, the opposite team, and your own teammate is behind you, helping the opponent take the ball from you. That's more dangerous than getting double teamed by someone from the opposing team. And this is what a lot of white liberals, a lot of Democrats through their policies are doing to the American people. White liberals hate the sight of the American flag. I don't know why. But American liberals really hate the American flag. I don't know why. But that's the core vision of America. Because America is not just a government. It's community, it's citizens, it's people. I think that's where I'm more aligned to. Hey, what's best for my community? My American community, not just my racial community, my gender community, my national community. That should be the interest of what's best for all. Because if one win, we all win. But some people don't see it that way. They rather get 100% of nothing and you get nothing too, than get a 10%, 13% of something. If the economy does good, 13% of the population benefit from it, black Americans. But they don't see it that way. They want 100% benefit. Hey, we want policy exclusively for us. That's the cancer of seeing color. That's the cancer of identity politics. It naturally divides people. And when you're divided, you're easily distracted. When you're not unified, it's easier to turn against each other. The politicians, they could just shake the box. And we're all here just getting at each other's throat. And you see the rally in the Bronx. I want that to be the norm nationally. People supporting their candidate. No one's trying to point out, oh, you're a black man. How can you support the Republicans? You're a black man. How can you support the Democratic Party? You don't know they're the party of slavery? You don't know they're the party of Jim Crow? You don't know they're the party of segregation? How you can support the Democrats? No. It's just, hey, look, I agree with this policy. I think this is the direction America needs to go. No, this is the direction America needs to go. We need to get back to that. I swear, I think the 90s was the best time. 90s, early 2000s was the best period in America. Honestly, I don't like the 2020s. The 2020s, I feel like everything went downhill after 2010. I think during the Obama administration, I felt the America that we were becoming. Right when Obama won, everyone thought America was getting past racism. After Obama won, America felt like we're going back to racism. How? How did this happen? Because we began seeing color. We got CRT indoctrinating all these corporate executives into pushing DEI, diversity inclusion, pushing racism under new management. And they wonder why we're more divided as a race in recent memory. This is the effects. And hopefully we learn from this and know, hey, seeing color ain't helpful in a national perspective. It's not. When all objective measures, the best place to be black is in this country right here. America's already a diverse country. Why I want more people coming over here? Make it make sense. A multiracial republic, but black people still complain about how the white man holding them back when Asian women are making more money than white men. But white man's the enemy. Okay, bro. Narratives. They just want to create a boogeyman because that's the only way they know how to unite these different groups of people. I say nay. I say we can unite different groups of people under a different vision. Their common identity, their common interest, their common foundation of being Americans and believing in American ideals. If you legally immigrated here like my parents did, you believe in the ethos of this nation. So why you find it weird that a son, their first generation, their firstborn American-born son, why are you mad that he honors this country? He respects this country. The stats that show that first-generation Americans are more patriotic than multi-generation Americans. I guess I'm a statistic. Because I went to Haiti. I seen where my parents grew up at. I was like, oh, hell no. I can't do this. I got to wake up early in the morning to get water out of the well because water faucets don't work in the house in Haiti. What? I got to go help them farm. I got to go pick up what? I forgot. I got to go help them pick up fruit and all this stuff because my mom lived in the rural areas of Haiti in the mountains. I lived there in 2 weeks. 2 weeks I lived in Haiti with my mom's peoples. When I came back to home in the United States, I almost cried seeing water coming out of the faucet. That's how appreciative I was of America. How appreciative that I was born here and not in Haiti. That's what I'm saying. I think a lot of Americans, multi-generational Americans, lack perspective. Lacked how bad life can really be. I think that's why I don't worry about racism. Because I'm like, yo, when I was in Haiti, that's the closest I felt like I had to fight for survival. Oh, you can't just go to no grocery store and they're gonna have refrigerated ice cream and chips and food. They had chips, but they don't have that. It wasn't as abundant as you going down the store. They had to work for their food. We don't work for our food, not much. I mean, you work a job, you use money, but these people, physical labor, work for their food. And you come over here and you're born in America, multi-generational, you're a descendant of a slave, and you're here crying because you can't pass a math test. Because you don't want to put in the work, you don't want to study. And then you're going to be crying and wondering why Caribbean black immigrants make more money than multi-generational Americans, so-called foundational blacks. Black immigrants on average make more money than foundational blacks, than black Americans, than so-called African Americans, but their ass never been in Africa, but they're African Americans. We're both black, but how come I'm making more money? How come on average people of my criteria make more money than you, and y'all both black? Racism should be stopping both of y'all, right? Explain that discrepancy. Explain that discrepancy, that disparity. They can't. Racism can't explain that. Only actions, behaviors, decision making. That's the only thing that could explain that differential between two black groups. One immigrated here, one was multi-generational. Because the same black people will say, generational wealth is why white community is ahead of black community. Okay, that don't make sense, because how come the Asian community is making more money than the white community? How come the Asian community is making more money than the black community, has more wealth than the black community? When you've been here since damn near the founding of the country. Your ancestors been here since the founding of this country. Yet a racial group that immigrated here years ago already passed you in wealth, the generational wealth. And wouldn't the generational wealth point help your argument, African Americans, that you've been here since the foundation of this country? Your ancestors have been here since the foundation of this country, but black immigrants have more wealth and more income than you do? Make it make sense. Either generational wealth is a main point of your argument or it's not. And when I do take your argument, the outcomes that you have still don't make sense. How are Caribbean blacks making more money than y'all if generational wealth is a big factor in why white people are ahead of you? All I hear is excuses. And when we don't want to take those excuses anymore, we don't want to take racism as the scapegoat. You want to get mad. You want to call conservatives racist because they don't want to judge you by your color. They don't want to assume that you had it harder than everyone else because of your skin color. We want to judge you based on your merits, based on your abilities, based on the actions and decisions that you choose to make. You commit a crime, you go to jail. That's why black men are disproportionately in jail. Not because of the crimes, the law system is against them, but instead of saying, black men, change your behaviors, change your decision making, stop committing crimes. No, we tell them, hey, we should change the laws because the laws unfavorably target black men. Because they know black men were more likely to do these actions. Is stealing wrong? Yes. Is armed robbery wrong? Yes. Black men do those things. So why should we change the law? When this is the crime that they commit, they should go to jail. They should be held accountable. This is what happens when you see color. You end up in this game of moral relativism, like going back to the core of my argument. Moral relativism. Based on your race, I have a different standard for you compared to the other person. I look at you more favorable. Oh, he didn't mean to do it. He's suffering from mental health issues. Oh, you got to give him a slap on the wrist. But what about the victims of the people that he victimized? What about them? What about their justice? They don't understand. When these social justice people, these criminal justice people open their mouth, it's like they don't think, like I said, they don't think in chess. They think in checkers. This is a big problem in our politics. Sound bites, that's what gets you elected. I digress. I'm going to play this one for one more minute, and then I'll have to wrap up because I've been going for 2 hours. Let's get back into the video.
And one of the things I have appreciated, and I've, be respectful of the conversations I've had with President Trump, but in the last couple of months, certainly, and we've been, had an opportunity to spend a lot of time in the last few months, one of the elements of his message that I have loved hearing from him publicly is he's been saying this consistently on the campaign trail, and I think it lands. It lands with me for sure, but I think it lands with people across this country who are like me, who have our views but want to see a united country. Success will be our vengeance, right? Success is unifying. And I think that Joe Biden is a guy who pledged to unite the country but failed to do it. That actually opens up a new opportunity for President Trump, not only to accomplish the kinds of things that he did in 2016, but to unite the country while doing it. And I think it's one of the things that once people in this country know that we care about national unity, that it's an objective we care about, not that we're going to use that as some sort of excuse to sacrifice on our principles, but to the contrary, we're going to embrace our principles because we believe that's what's going to unite us as a country. That, I think, actually alone has the power of achieving a unity that we're missing, is just authentically gesturing towards unity. I think will be a huge leap that Donald Trump can take as the next president to unite this country. If Donald Trump talks about the importance of national unity, talks about the importance of success as unifying, of channeling our vengeance into success and unifying this country through success, which he has been doing, which I think is a good thing. If he continues to do that,
I agree,
through not only winning the election but governing, that alone, I think, will go miles towards healing this country and turning the page on, a chapter where
grievance culture, right? Because this is the argument I said so for a long time. Where does black people focus their energy on? Do they focus their energy, their grievance on doing actions and behaviors and making decisions, sound decisions that give their people good outcomes? No, They do bad decisions that gives them bad outcomes. They don't respect authority. They challenge police. They kill their rappers. They kill the wealthiest men in their communities. And then they want to complain about why there's a wealth discrepancy between white America and black America. White Americans, like I see it, don't kill their richest and brilliant people in their community. Rappers are not brilliant, I'll say that, but they're good at what they do. They make a lot of money and they generate a lot of wealth doing what they do. And how many rappers got killed by a white man? I'm waiting. None. All of them were killed by someone with the same skin complexion. But you worrying about the white man. Oh my God, white man's gonna kill us. Oh my God, white man. Why is there such a racial disparity in wealth? How about the fact that you kill a lot of the people who are wealthy? How about a lot of the fact that y'all spend your money in not acquiring assets, but instead acquiring materialistic things like cars, houses, and jewelry? Eric Ellison says, "Oh, anymore, most generational wealth is diminished by the 5th to 6th generation." Yes, that's the argument I'll make. Black America goes, "Oh my God, white people, they got so much, they got a head start because of generational wealth." Most of those white people who gained their wealth through slavery lost it because during the Civil War, if you know anything about the Civil War, the soldiers, I forgot, I think it's the Union, they burned a lot of the crops. They destroyed the properties of the slave plantations. Those families lost all that wealth. And I think only 3% of them had their wealth left. So even then, majority of white people's success is not due to generational wealth. So to make this argument about generational curses is a lie. I say one of the biggest generational curses that affects the black community is the fact that they pass down bad habits and bad values to the next generation. And the next generation perpetuate that and continues that. All you have to do is look at the ghetto black culture that we see online right now with sexy wed. We glorified the most negative. I don't even know how to, the most negative and unproductive ideals and values of our culture, and we glamorize that, creating an incentive for the youth to follow that example because that's who you lifted up. If you ask a black person, who's the richest black man in the world, they're going to name you rappers, athletes, when it's none of those people. It's a banker, some financial banker from New York. But they don't know his name, but they know Michael Jordan, they know LeBron James, all them billionaires, but they're not the richest black person in the world. It's not Oprah. It's some dude from Wall Street, but we don't know his name. I don't even know his name, but I know he exists. It shows you what black culture focus on, but they want to make it a race thing. Oh, blackness. I'm authentically black. I'm authentically black. How about we start saying I'm authentically an American? How about that? Let's start pushing that. Because your energy, what the energy you driving it towards unity or are you driving it towards division? And it seems like we're driving it towards division when you think race first, identity first. Identity politics drives energy towards division, not unity. If I say American first, that sounds more unifying. We're all American. We all have commonality. You're born in this country. I'm born in this country. Regardless of your skin color, your race, your sexual orientation, we're all born in this country. So we all have a vested interest in this country. So we all should argue what's best for this country. Not what's best for my skin color, what's not best for my gender, not best for my sexual orientation, not best for my political party, what's best for this country. And that's what our political arguments, our political debates should be around. Not narratives to push people on our side. And that's what's going on. Getting mad at celebrities because they don't endorse your candidate because you're party first, not American first. I mean, I digress. I mean, I think I said what I had to say. I went on a 2-hour, 20-minute session, but I think I said what I had to say. So I appreciate you guys watching this clip. I think I made it long on purpose, maybe. I don't know. I got really into it towards the end of the stream, but I appreciate you guys, what you guys have to say. I'm sorry I haven't been really looking at the comment section. I want to do, I don't know, I want to do a video on that, but I probably want to do a live stream where I just go through all your comments. So keep continuing commenting. I'm waiting for it to stockpile, and then I'll probably do one of these live streams, maybe the week of Memorial Weekend. Happy Memorial Weekend. Hopefully we honor all the men and women that died to protect our country. This is why I made this video, this live stream, mostly about America, sovereignty, nationalism, because we're going to Memorial Weekend where people literally laid down their lives to preserve and protect this country. And here we are, voting for people that's effing it up. I think these people will be rolling in their graves seeing what we're allowing this country to become, in my view anyway. But I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. I'll have timestamps out soon, so bear with me, because I think this is a very important video that many people need to see. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video on your way out. I really do appreciate you, all of you guys watching to the end of the stream. I really do appreciate you guys. Don't forget to like on your way out. Once again, if you're new here, please subscribe. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on the replay. Let me know your thoughts, what you thought about the whole live stream. What was your favorite segment? And I hope you guys have a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. Peace.